better at this. Okay, now before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of announcements. We do have this Saturday. First of all, before we start, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Hope you had a good time today. Enjoy. Okay, it, this, I'm Italian, but I still put my green on today. Not a problem. Anyway, uh, we do it. We have a workshop this Saturday, the Law of Attraction workshop. David Diamond is doing it. If you're interested, it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and basically the numbers for it are on the website. You can check it out if you want to. Okay, and also I want to mention that tomorrow at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, Pat O'Connor, who's one of our therapists. Pat is a very interesting lady. She works primarily with small children, and she also does our parenting program. So Pat is going to do a podcast with Loretta at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, and the podcast is on what is our job as a parent. So that should be interesting. So you can check that out too. The Zoom numbers are on the website. Feel free to join us. I also want to mention that our education page is up, and also all of our podcasts are on the education page. You can check them out if you want to. Once we do a podcast, we do put it up so people can go back and check it out, because we know sometimes people can't make the actual thing itself. So you can check that out if you want to. Also on Mrs. Corner, the lectures are there. Everything's kind of in place, and they're also on the YouTube channel too. So the education page too. So check it out. Okay. I do want to mention also that we sent an email out, and we do our annual monthly support thing for Starting Point. If you can help us out in any way, we'll be happy to. We would pass a basket normally, but we do have a Venmo number, and it's in the chat room. So anything you can help, whatever direction, is always appreciated. So thank you, guys. Okay. I want to kind of begin by doing a reading I picked from the language of letting go, because it kind of fits into our topic for tonight. Fun. Have some fun with life, with the day. Life is not drudgery. That is an old belief. Let go of it. We are now on an adventure, a journey. Events will come to pass that we cannot now fathom. Replace heaviness and weariness of spirit with joy. Surround yourself with people and things that bring lightness of spirit. Become sensitive to lightness of spirit. The journey can be an exciting adventure. Please let yourself enjoy it. Today, I'll have some fun with life, with recovery, with people, and especially with each of my days. I wanted to read that because basically it kind of brings out a lot of what I want to talk about tonight. Because we talk about how to play and how to have fun when we do the lectures. I want to kind of mention something to you. Most codependents, adult children and codependents, we have what I call an interesting disease. We take life very, 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 very seriously. We analyze everything. We try to find an answer to everything. In short, we have brain freeze. I refer to it as the codependent crazies. We have a tendency very many times to always try to figure out why, instead of just learning the gift of acceptance. But tonight, I want to put all that stuff away. In fact, up to me, I'd ask you tonight, put your head, in a freezer for the night, and just kind of let things go a little bit. So tonight, I want to talk about how to play and how to have fun. And I want to do this in 3 different ways. The first section I want to do is because I know how much you guys as codependents love assignments. So I want to give you some assignments, okay? And I can't get out of here without giving you assignments to do. That'll make all the codependents happy, I know that. The second piece of it, I want to talk about stuffed animals, teddy bears, things that go back to your childhood, things that connect us to the little boy and little girl that we have inside of us as a person. I'll show you how we do that and why it's so important. It's a big part of our journey, things we have to do in life. Because we have to learn it's okay once in a while to be a little child. It's okay to play. It's okay to have fun. Then finally, I'll spend a little time with my buddy. I brought him with me tonight too, so I can show him to you. I'll bring my buddy Snoopy, and we'll talk a lot about Snoopy tonight because Snoopy's pretty neat. He's a good guy, right, Snoop? Okay, we'll come back to you later, though. Okay, you have to take a break for the time being. I'll get back to him. Don't worry, because Snoopy and his gang, we're going to talk a lot about them too tonight. We'll see what happens with it. But I want to start off with the assignments. Now, remember something about most adult children in codependence. We are very, 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 very predictable. People can set their clocks by us. And so, what I want you to be able to do, and try this for a couple of days, I want you to try to meet your opposite. For example, if you're always on time for everything, for the next couple of days, I would like you to be late. Show up late. You're going to scare people, believe me. They're not used to this. It's going to scare you because we're used to being in that control mode of being on time for everything. Do the opposite of what you normally do. Now, if you're never on time, this is a hard one. If you're never on time for the next 2 or 3 days, show up 10 minutes early. You're going to scare people. Actually scare them because they're not used to this. They're used to you jumping on everything at the last minute. And so it's almost like you reverse the normal of what you normally do. It'll also open up all kinds of feelings inside of you. One lady said to me, I lasted 1 hour. It's amazing. The other part is try this. If you're the type of person who always has your house in order, everything's always perfect. Everything's where it's supposed to be. For 2 or 3 days, let it go. Don't make your bed. Let everything fall apart. Leave the dishes in the sink. Oh my God, that's scary, isn't it? Meet the other side. If you're the kind of person who never makes their bed, whose house is usually kind of in disarray, for 2 or 3 days, make your bed, put everything in order, put everything perfect. Not only will you scare yourself, you'll scare the people you live with. It's totally amazing. Changing our patterns is the hardest thing for us to do. We have to learn how to do this. Now, I want you to try something else too. I want you to pull a prank on someone. Have some fun. Now, nice pranks, please. Please don't get yourself in trouble. If you get arrested, please don't call me, because I'll make believe I don't know you. But the bottom line is, do something fun. I'll give you an example. My groups do this. They did it to me plenty of times. I just had so much fun. I can laugh at it today, but some strange stuff they did. One of my women's groups, one night, I got done, I guess it was 10:30 at night. Went out, got in my car, drove home. I'm driving down the 42 freeway, and everybody's honking their horns at me. They're going like this. They're yelling at me. They're waving at me and everything. I says, my God, what the hell's going on? I says, this is crazy. It's insane. I drove all the way home that way with all these people, just constantly honking horns, doing everything. When I finally got home, I said to my wife, this is one of the strangest nights I ever went through driving home. I can't figure it out. So we went out and looked at the car. The crazy ladies in my group had put a poster on the back of the car, back on the trunk of the car, of 3 ladies in bikinis. I drove down the 42 freeway with that thing on the back of my car. I don't know, Lisa, if that was your group or not, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't trust you. That's why. Okay, but that was fun. It was crazy, but it was fun. My men's group did this to me, and probably there's a little person here I think probably was responsible for it. I won't say who, but basically they put a stone in the hubcap of my car. Now I'm driving down the street, clunk, 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 clunk. I thought the engine was falling out. I went to a mechanic. He checked everything. He said, your car's fine. I started driving, clunk, clunk, clunk. He said, wait a minute, come back here. He actually opened the hubcap. There was a big stone in the hubcap. Some clown had put a stone in the hubcap of my car. I'm not going to mention names, but he's on this Zoom call tonight. Put a stone in the hubcap of my car and basically was driving me nuts. But we figured it out after a while. Now, another one of my men's groups decided to rearrange my office. So they moved the desks, turned everything around, put all the pictures upside down, just read a number on the whole office. But that's the fun part about life. This is stuff you can laugh at. If you come to my office today, you'll see the whole front door is covered by a beautiful collage that one of my groups did, and one night came over and just decided my door wanted to look differently. So I left it there. It's really neat. I kind of like it. So it's kind of neat. I think it's good sometimes just to be able to do things that are different, to have some fun. And that's what I want you to try to do. Just kind of loosen up. Good job, Eric. I like it. It's a beautiful part about it. You come down to it. So it's really good when you're able to loosen up and relax a little bit. So enjoy the assignments, okay? Have a good time with it. See what happens with it. I probably should give you one more. This is a hard one. I would like you to spend a whole hour by yourself with no technology, no phone, nothing. Now, many of us might just go through withdrawal. It's totally amazing. You come right down to it. So take a look at that. Have some fun. I wanted to share that with you because I really think sometimes if you meet your opposite, you get in touch with a lot of feelings. It opens up a lot of things for you. Now, in the second part, I want to talk a lot about stuffed animals, teddy bears, and mementos. I really believe it's important to reconnect back to your childhood. And some of the things you could do which would help you reconnect. Okay, for example, if you can find a photograph of yourself as a little child. I'll give you an example. I brought mine with me today. I wanted to show it to you. Okay. That's me at 5 years old. It's one of my favorite photographs of me. Because back in that day in 1945, they posed you whenever they took a photograph. You know that. So it was pretty neat, though. So I love looking at that. And then I have another beautiful gift. This is and you probably don't recognize this, but back then, this is a toe tag. Okay, they, instead of putting a band like in hospitals, they put a toe tag on you with all your stuff on it, your weight, everything, the whole bit. So I had it decompaged. And then they also have, I didn't get them today, I was looking for them. I have my little booties that I wore when I was a little boy. It's so neat to be able to see some of this stuff and get in touch with it. My wife did me something real nice. I have to show this to you. I actually have my own doll now. It's pretty fantastic. See, there's Vinny. And then what she put on the back of it, she put all my information that's on that toe tag on the back of it. She had this made for me. So now I have my own little doll I can burp, I can take care of, I can have a lot of fun with. It's pretty neat. It really is. The eyes bounce up and down. It's just, I get excited about this. So put up with me, okay? I just love it. So you got to be good now. I'll be back after a while to see you, okay? So we'll see what happens. Now, I want to just kind of show you something else too. And this is one of my favorite stuffed animals. I got to tell you the story behind it. This is little Vinny. I love little Vinny. He's got a pug nose. It's pretty neat. But he's got a good story. Believe it or not, this little guy is 57 years old. He's been with me a long time. When I was a deacon, right before I became a priest, I was stationed doing my internship in a parish. And again, if you had known me back then, I was a little uptight. What can I tell you? I was more rigid, more fire and brimstone, all that kind of stuff back then. And so some lady in the parish came up to me one day and she said, "You need this." And she handed it to me. Well, I took it and I said, "Well, thank you very much." And when she left, I said, "Now, what am I going to do with this thing?" So I figured, well, she's going to come back and ask me where it is. They always come back and ask you where it is. So I said, okay. So I stuck it on a shelf in my office. Don't ask me why. Sometimes I think it's a God thing. Every parish I went to, no matter where I got transferred to, I took this little guy with me. I used to put them on the shelf and leave them there. And one day when I was doing some inner child work, I was told to bring a stuffed animal with me. And basically, I said, well, I don't really have a stuffed animal. I figured I'd go to Walmart or someplace and buy one. Well, I went in the office. I looked up on the shelf, and there he was, just sitting there. Took him down, brought him. And the bottom line is, a lot of my inner child work, a lot of my child work, I kind of connect to this little guy. He's very special. He sits in my office now, and when I'm working at my desk, he's right there staring at me. He helps me out every day. It's pretty neat. And I've learned that some of the greatest things to help you get in touch with the little child inside of you are either stuffed animals, mementos, pets, things to that effect. They're a powerful way because they have something called unconditional love. You know why I love little Vinny so much is I can hug him. He doesn't talk back. He's always there. He's available. Isn't that great? I can give him all kinds of kisses. He's nice and safe. Kind of fun to be with, a good part of it. I got so excited over stuffed animals that I then went out and purchased one of my favorite stuffed animals. Here he comes. Okay. This is a big one. Okay. This is Lucky. I got to tell you about Lucky. He's named after my dog that I had. God rest my dog's soul. But this stuffed animal, I also refer to as my recovery bear. And what I do basically, you know, and I basically used to take him with me in my car. I used to go around the rehabs and everything, give talks and all kinds of stuff. So I brought him with me and I asked everybody to hug him. Now, this little guy has been hugged probably by close to 7, 8, 900 people. I don't know how many in recovery. And so I love him so much because you notice he kind of turned brown. He turned green. He used to be brown. He'd been being in the sun in the car all the time. You don't mind though. And what I love about him is when I look at him, it's like I'm connected to all those people in recovery. It's so fantastic. It's unbelievable. Just like Ben is with his buddy up there. It's pretty neat. I like that. So it's a beautiful part about it. But see, while he was in my car, I noticed that he was lonely. And so I went and got a friend for him. Now, this is Fluffy. I got to show you Fluffy. Come on, Fluffy, turn around, will you? Fluffy's shy. What can I tell you? But Fluffy, is named after my dog as a child. And so I figured Lucky needed some companionship. So I brought Fluffy in to be with him. They spent a lot of time together. And then there was a little guy that came along. His name was Muffy. I don't have Muffy anymore, though, because my granddaughter confiscated him, had him in a baby carriage and everything else. And now, it's okay. At least Muffy has a good home now. That's a good part about it. But I love just kind of playing around with this and having fun with it. It really brings you back to being a child and just enjoying things in life. It's kind of a celebration for me. That's a big part of it. I do recommend to people, because I really believe sometimes there's an intimacy, either in stuffed animals or especially if you have some things that will take you back to your childhood. One guy brought a beautiful, beautiful stuffed animal that basically, well, it was beautiful at one time, but it had one eye missing, everything. He keeps it with him all the time because it brings him back to his childhood. It's from his childhood. Kids understand this. Did you ever notice your grandkids and other kids, they have their guys when they get in bed at night, they put them around them to like safety and protection. Well, when you get older, you need the same thing. So I got my buddies with me now. That's a good part about it. So it's good to have all this wonderful stuff in your life. So say goodbye now, okay? Because I'm going to put them back over here because we have to talk about some other stuff too, okay? See you guys in a little while. All right, there we go. All right, good job. There they go. Okay, Luck. All right. I wanted to share them with you because I really believe very deeply that we need things to help us with intimacy and closeness. but above all, to feel safe and feel comfortable. And so to me, stuffed animals, pets, things to that effect, one of our staff members has a beautiful little cat named Frankie, and I love Frankie. Frankie is so cute. Even today, she had Frankie with a green bow tie on today. It was pretty neat. But it's interesting how we can just connect with things. I know a couple of nursing homes I used to visit. They used to have cats running around the nursing home and stuff. People just enjoyed spending time with them. It's just a beautiful thing to realize how we need to have that sense of intimacy, especially when we get in touch with the little kid that's inside of us. The other thing I want to talk about tonight, I got to bring my buddy into this because he's been waiting for a long time to get on stage here. You know, he one thing about this guy, man, he likes to be in the limelight. He's pretty neat. But I got to tell you about him. I don't know if you know about it, but him and his buddies in that wonderful comic strip. Okay, that comic strip was originally produced and put together by a Protestant theologian. All the characters in the comic strip represent small little microcosms of our personality traits. And that's why it's so beautiful to see how he connected them, even with scripture and things of that effect. So it's pretty neat when you look at that comic strip and you can see where it's interconnected with all different parts of who we are as people and our personality. So I'm going to share a couple of them with you tonight. I want to start off by talking about one of the most interesting characters, Lucy. Remember Lucy? Lucy the grouch, Lucy the psychiatrist. Lucy has her own private practice. It only charges 5 cents. It's not bad, what the heck. And I love Lucy because she's always trying to, she's grouchy sometimes. She operates on that premise many of us know. I call her the addictive personality. She operates on, I want what I want when I want it, and I want it now. Her famous thing is she's always hanging around Schroeder. Schroeder's a little piano player. They're always hanging around him. He drives the poor guy crazy. But you know what Schroeder does? Ignores her. Just plays his music, pays no attention to her at all. Schroeder loves just to isolate himself and just stay in his music. We do this a lot of times when something's bugging us. We go find something we can isolate ourselves in and just hide in. That's okay as long as you come back. It's a good part about it. But Lucy can be a real pain sometimes, and Schroeder knows that. But, no matter what, Schroeder just stays patient and keeps going, no problems at all. Lucy just has to go on. And then Lucy always, she has to constantly drive people nuts and drive them crazy. She's always trying to control everything, control everybody. God, does she sound like a codependent or not? It's totally amazing. That illusion of control is just unbelievable. Then, of course, we have Linus, was world famous security blanket. I mean, Linus, walks around with that blanket. It reminds us of us. There's parts of us that we just don't want to let go of. One of the hardest things we have is second and third step, where it says faith, let go, and let God. We have the hardest time sometimes letting go. So we always have to have what I call conditional recovery. I'll let go of this, but I'm not going to let go of that. I'll let go of this, but I won't do that. We're always bargaining. It's totally amazing. You come right down to it. And the bottom line is we have a little bit of Linus inside of all of us. I want to just hold on to something, hold on to this. To really totally begin to let go is one of the hardest things in the world to do. And faith is a big part of it. It's interesting because a lot of times I have a tendency to drive Loretta and to drive the board of directors and people crazy. Because I talk a lot about starting point is built on faith, it's built on trust. And one of the things, if you go in Loretta's office, you'll see what I'm talking about. But one of the things I say all the time is, we need, God takes care of us. We're going on 43 years old. Somehow, some way, we're always able to get through things. And even now with the pandemic and everything else, we're still in there. The doors are still open. We're still doing our thing. Are we on a shoestring? Sure. But that's okay. We've always been on a shoestring. Somehow, some way, God will take care of it. We have our guardian. I got to tell you a funny story. Our insurance man came to visit us one day to go over different things about the policy. So they asked me to sit in on it, so I sat in on it. And I'm listening to him talk. And after a while, I said, "You know what?" I said to him, "We don't really need insurance." He looked at me. "What do you mean you don't need insurance?" I says, "We have the best policy in the whole world." "What did you do? Go to a different broker?" I said, "No, we have Michael." And he said, what do you mean, Michael? Who's Michael? Is Michael another broker? Who's Michael? He was really upset. I said, "Michael sits up on the roof and takes care of our place. Michael the Archangel." He looked to one look at me, and I think he's ready to send me, call the men in the white coats to come and get me, I think he said. But I said, "You got to have faith. Well, we're taken care of. Don't worry. We got the insurance anyway." But, it's just the funny part about having fun. I just love doing that to him. I do it to my board of directors all the time. I tell them, "Stop worrying. Somehow, some way, God will take care of it." You know what? With faith and trust, you do the footwork, things always come through. They always happen. So it's just a funny thing how things work. The third character I want to talk about is a guy called Charlie Brown. And Charlie is the ultimate codependent. The ultimate codependent. Poor old Charlie. His baseball team is always getting slaughtered. God, he can't win a game. It's totally amazing. He constantly wants the little redheaded girl to pay attention to him, but she never does. He's so sad. So what does he do? He's got to get advice. So he goes to, believe it or not, here we go. He goes to his little psychiatrist, Lucy. Her little stand is set up. He pays her 5 cents, and she gives him advice. A couple of times, she just smacked him over the head a few times. It's the advice she gave him. But she never gave him good advice, that's for sure. So Lucy was a little, kind of conned him a little bit. But he kept going to places and doing things. It's unbelievable. I mean, he even, he tried to put Snoopy into obedience school to straighten him out. That didn't work. Nothing ever worked for the poor guy. But my famous cartoon, and I really think this should be on the wall of every 12-step room, especially Codependence Anonymous rooms, is Lucy the addict holding the football for Charlie Brown, the codependent, to kick. And guess what? He goes to kick it, she pulls the football away, and he falls on his rear end. He gets up, lines up again, she puts it down, boom, 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 boom. After 6 or 7 times, they say to Charlie, "Don't you get it? She's not going to hold that football." And Charlie says the most famous codependent phrase, "Someday she will." The phrase of the codependents. Someday I'm going to work on this stuff. Someday I'm going to make a meeting. Someday I'm really going to do it. We have the someday disease. Someday I'm going to really work on my health. Someday I'm going to make changes in my life. That famous someday disease. Did you ever go to a codependent's funeral? They have a wreath over the top of the casket. The wreath says someday. Someday. Someday is today. And yet so many of us get caught up in these crazy little things. And finally, I got to talk about my friend. He's been sitting here looking at me cross-eyed and saying, "Come on, when are you going to talk about me?" This guy loves me to talk about him. This is Snoopy. Snoopy is referred to as the Hound of Heaven. Snoopy is a free spirit. Snoopy doesn't worry about a thing. He has an imagination that's unbelievable. When he's on top of his doghouse, he can do anything. The things that he does. Going after the Red Baron, all the things he does, unbelievable. He has a tremendous imagination. And I think one of the things we lose a lot of times as we get older, we lose our imagination. We lose that gift of just being able just to get into our imagination sometimes and have some fun with it. And so watch what happens with Snoopy. He's fearless. They tell him, "Stay away from Lucy. She's having a crab in. Don't go near her. Not Snoopy. Walks right up to her door. He knocks on it. When she answers the door, he kisses her on the nose and beats it the hell out of there. It's called Detach with Love. Totally amazing. I think Snoopy went to a lot of Al-Anon meetings. No problem there at all. It's kind of connected. But the fun part about it is he's learned the secret of loving and detaching, which is hard for many of us to learn. It's a beautiful thing. Look what Snoopy does to Linus. He's always stealing his security blanket. What does recovery do to us a lot of times? It takes away all of our excuses. It keeps taking away all those things we try to hold on to. And it tells us there are no half measures. And so a lot of times we have a tendency not to want to let go. But good old Snoopy, he knows how to yank it away. That's why I call Snoopy the gift of recovery. The spirit, the gift of recovery. Courtney, I love your little friend there. Well, come on, bring him up here. All right. Hey, I see. She got a live stuffed animal there. It's fantastic. That's good. Thank you. I'm glad you brought him. That's beautiful. See, the beautiful part about this is was part of it, and we open up these doors. It's so important. We come right down to it. Watch what Snoopy does to Charlie Brown. Poor Charlie is always trying to control Snoopy, and Snoopy drives him crazy, runs around like a nut, and goes and knocks on the door with his dish in his mouth. Feed me, please. Take care of me. All this kind of stuff. Snoopy just has that great free spirit inside of him. He's able just to look at life that way. And I share Snoopy with you because I really feel that deep down inside of every one of us, there is a little Snoopy. There's a little Snoopy in all of us. There's a free spirit inside of each and every one of us. And unfortunately, over the years, we've allowed hardship and pain and struggle to kind of bury us a little bit. And we have to kind of unload and get back in touch with that free spirit, and that's important, to be able to meet that and to get in touch with that. That's an important part of it. I really believe very strongly in that. So please, do yourself a favor, let your little Snoopy out. Realize the fact there's a playful, beautiful little child inside of each and every one of us. We need to be able to let that child have fun, to enjoy. There's all ways of doing it. I see Casey down there with her guitar. Beautiful things, Case. Just keep doing it. It's a beautiful part about life. Lori had her dog there for a few minutes, but then he disappeared. We'll get him back. But it's a beautiful part of. Hey, yeah, there we are. Okay, all right. That's the beautiful thing about life. We need to be connected, to be part of one another, be part of the journey. And that's why the thing I love about Snoopy, always now laughing. He wants to kind of visit everybody, be with everybody all the time. That's us. We're beautiful human beings. We need to let that little child in us come out, to be able to acknowledge that little Snoopy, the little gift that we have on the inside. And so tonight, I just hope that we can learn the importance of letting go a little bit. I know we've gone through a lot with this pandemic. We've been pent up a lot. We've been going through a lot of stuff. But, it's really, we got to get in touch. We got to get our spirit back and get in touch with that inner spirit that we have inside of us. And somehow, some way to be able to have some fun, to be able to look at life. It's just the little celebrations and things that we can do. Open those doors, get things moving. It's a real important part of it, okay? Have some fun with it. So I want to share a prayer with you tonight. I'm going to have Snoopy stay with me while we share the prayer because I think it's really important. And maybe I'll get little Vinny to be part of this too because they need to pray also. We'll see what happens. Let us pray. God, we come before you as a family. We come before you in prayer. Please help us to get in touch with the little Snoopy that's inside of each and every one of us. Help us to be able to meet the little fun-loving child we have inside of us. You brought us into this world as a beautiful little child. Hopefully we can stay connected to you. Teach us not to be afraid, to look at life, through the eyes of a child sometimes. Even though I know we have to be responsible, we got to deal with life, and there's hurt and there's pain. But remember one thing, God, I'm grateful that you do look at us and have a sense of humor and help us through the tough parts of our life. And sometimes laughter can get us through even some of the toughest moments. And sometimes we got to take a break from things that are happening and just look within ourselves and learn to honor and take care of ourselves. We're all God's children, and that's why it's so important to stay connected. With God's help, we'll be able to celebrate, we'll be able to enjoy one another. And no matter what way we have to do it, either we have to do it through Zoom and different ways we have to do it, as long as we stay connected and as long as we acknowledge one another and honor one another and celebrate each other. For we're all connected, we're family. And so we thank God every day for the people in our lives today, but also we pray every day for those who have gone before us, for those who have passed on, for those who are now with you on the other side, for they are our guardian angels. They are our protection and they are our love. And so in gratitude and in love, we come together tonight. We say thank you and allow us just to be more open to learn and grow and to understand the gift that we have inside of us, the gift of love, the gift of spirit, the gift of energy. We pray and we ask this and we ask this in you.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not mine, be done.